All right, thank you very much. Like I had said earlier, well, this morning we are at Hilton Hotel, where the plans to launch inclusive public transport of persons living with disability, the marginalized people in our society, the older women, the children, is taking place today. And right about now, I'm joined by Dr. Joyce Mutinda, who is the Chairperson for National Gender and Equality. She'll just be telling us more about this function and what actually necessitated, those plans to launch this inclusive public transport for this person, given the fact that this is an issue that has been going for a long time. Thank you very much, Madam Joyce. And just for our starters, you can tell us what has actually necessitated the plans to launch this public transport as of now.
As a commission, we have been organizing to launch this time just before we go to do a reporting on an international convention, CRPD, for people living with disability in New York. Now, just before we go, we realized that people living with disabilities, particularly those who are on wheelchair, do not get access to public transport. They have to be lifted manually and at times forwarded, which is not what we need of our ladies, which is not what we need of our elderly, and which is not what we need of persons living with disability. Because in our constitution, they have a right to be accorded dignity. But by carrying them and throwing them in the matatus and in the buses, that is not dignified enough. And we have known that in other parts of the world, these adjusted buses, and if you wish, although they don't have matatus, in our case the matatus are there. And we realized that this has been disadvantaging our people. We are particularly prompted by the Constitution of Kenya 2010, which actually brought on board the National Gender and Equality Commission, which is a constitutional commission. We are there, as we say in Kiswahili, kutetea haki, sio wanyonge wanaobaguliwa. Mtu ambaye anabaguliwa tunamtetea kikweli kutumia katiba yetu ya Kenya. Yes.
And we've just, touched a bit on what the Constitution actually mandates. And there's a part where they says that, all construction workers, whether road construction workers, the ones that are constructing buildings, that when they're doing that, they should have in mind that we have, this person's probably living with disability. And so they should actually even just ensure that they put ramps on this construction. But that's not the case. So so as a commission, what are you doing? What are you doing to actually steer forward that, to ensure that what is actually enshrined in the Constitution is actually taken into place and, these things actually done the way they're supposed to be done?
Let me begin by saying this is not true, because most of our buildings that came into being after our current building code, they do have access. Where there are no ramps, there are lifts that help the physically challenged. But we have noted the old buildings need remodeling. And even the new ones, those who forget that bit, we keep reminding them. And I'm happy with particularly the Architectural Society of Kenya, because they follow that instruction. But when it comes to giving certificates of occupation, you realize that some of them, a few of them, will go around and get this certificate of occupation, even when the ramps are not there or when they don't have the lifts. So those are the ones we are worried about. But otherwise, the law is there in Kenya,
so those
and
are the
it
ones
is being
going
followed.
against the Constitution?
Yeah, those are the ones going against the Constitution. And there are few and far in between, and we shall, let me say it's not threatening, but we shall deal with them as the law dictates.
Madam, I know you're in a hurry, but maybe you can just, answer one question for us. There's also the issue of audio tactile pedestrian detectors, whereby we see that in most developed countries we have this, especially for the visually impaired persons. Here in Kenya, are we looking at a state whereby we can develop to that extent? And if so, when could that be?
Now, we are looking forward to developing to that extent. However, we have to start with our baby steps. What are these baby steps? We want the vehicles first to be adjusted, even if only a few for the various routes, and particularly the public transport. Then after that, we want to see the ramps in all buildings. And then when we have done that, then we can go to the streets. It is not only the visually impaired, but we also want to look at mothers, we want to look at the border riders. We have never given them a space where they should be riding, even the bicycle riders. In some countries, you find that is provided. So we need to provide for everybody, because everybody has a right to access priorities, and they need to walk in these cities and feel that they are part and parcel of the city community. So when we are starting in Nairobi in particular, is because we realize the United Nations, several bodies here, the World Bank, and all those other big organizations. And we realize those international guests, even when they come, they are surprised that we don't have the basics. And we want to have those basics, so that as we are the mother, I must say we are the mother of UNEP, then we need to be a mother of many other international bodies, God willing.
Thank you very much, Dr. Joyce Mutinda. Well, that was Dr. Joyce Mutinda, the chairperson for National Gender and Equality Commission, just telling us concerning this launch, which is happening today. And later on, we'll be showing you this buses that she's been talking about. Remember that she said that for now, we need to start with the basics. But in the near future, we're looking forward to also implement these other things like the audio tactile pedestrian detectors, which are going to help specifically the persons living with disability. So as of now, we are still at the Hilton Hotel. We are covering this event for you. And like I said earlier, we later on also be going to show you this public transport, how they look like, and how they're really going to help these persons living with disabilities.